Hi, welcome back. You're watching another episode of The Drag Mechanic. I am Mama Hank, also known as Henry. And today, I'm gonna go through my own personal history with automobiles. Now you may be saying, Mama Hank, you're only 22. You couldn't have owned that many cars. Well, that's where you're wrong. I guarantee I've owned more cars than you, and I am only 22. Got it. Let's find out how many cars I have owned, shall we? Now, everyone begins somewhere. Just because I was young doesn't mean I couldn't start early. I owned my first car at the age of 14. That's definitely, impressive. Am I right? It was a 1993 Volvo 940 station wagon, turbocharged maroon, 3-row Magic. That car never made it out of the driveway, not once. And you know why? She was a piece of shit. But she always ran, she always started. No complaints. You will see a picture of her here. She was a lovely gal. And my infatuation with Volvos has never ended. I still love them, and I might get another one in the future, who knows? Yeah, car number dos. So when I actually got my driver's license, I was incredibly fortunate to have a car given to me by my parents. Now, we were never well off or rich, but you know, sometimes things work out and you're able to do nice things for your family. And in this instance, I was gifted a 2009 Ford Fusion SE V6 front-wheel drive. Wow. Her name was Fupa. She was green and lovely, black interior. It was very fast. Only had 100,000... it was like 110,000 miles on it when my mom gave it to me. It was the perfect high school car. You know why? Had it not scored, I was so popular. And it also had this really cool feature where the passenger seat would fold flat, so you could put really long things in it. I could fit a kayak in it. She was a power bottom, just so you know. Would I recommend the 2009 Ford Fusion? Yes, I would. It was lovely. It was fast, much faster than a high school student should have had, with 220 horsepower. So fast. Didn't get great mileage, but you know what? It was also very reliable. So when I got rid of that, I think it had 150,000 miles on it, and I got rid of that. Freshman year of college, my dad gifted me his 2011 Ford Fusion in blue, nicknamed Big Blue Betsy. Now, Betsy was basically the same car as Fupa. Betsy only had a 4-cylinder, so she was kind of slow. At least compared to Fupa, she was slow. But she had a sunroof and Bluetooth. That was fancy AF. I treated that car like absolute shit. Not gonna lie. Although, with my first Fusion, I did cut the mufflers off, so I haven't been great to all of my cars. I'm gonna be honest with you right now. I got her with 152,000 miles on it, I think. And I sold her with 207,000 miles, I think. Something around there. And if you went to college with me or lived in southern New Hampshire, there's a good chance you saw me, because for my birthday one year, I decided I wanted to paint my car fun colors. And I invited all of my friends over for my birthday party, and everyone got their own corner, or everyone got their own side of the car. I got the front, and everyone painted whatever they wanted to paint on it. The roof of it had tons of penises, let me tell you. It was atrocious. She was very reliable. The only thing I ever had problems with was the brakes and the flex pipe. But other than that, it was a very reliable car. Great college car. Didn't have the folding passenger seat like Fupa had, but you know, you give things up for the luxuries. Like having a sunroof was great, and so was having Bluetooth and a USB port. Yeah, it was great. Got better mileage too. Car number 4 was a 1991 Volvo 740 turbo wagon. Exact same car as my 93 940 wagon. Same engine, same transmission. This one had 170,000 miles on it, and I paid $1,000 for it, and then the head gasket was blown and I didn't know it. And I told the previous owner about it, and he gave me $200 back. That was very nice of him. Not a lot of people do that. And this was the winter of junior year of college, and it had problems where it was like overheating kind of. And then I had to turn on the heat, and then it would start to cool back down. Really big piece of crap. I got super excited about it. I had my Ford still because, you know, I was just working on the Volvo. And then one day I was at school and I went out to start it up and go for a drive, and I connected the battery, and then it started smoking and it caught on fire, like basically caught on fire. There was thick plumes of white smoke pouring from underneath it. And the really inconvenient thing was that I tightened down the battery, the battery terminal, so the car was smoking and I was struggling to loosen the terminal off the battery so that the car wouldn't catch on fire. That was scary. I sold that car for $100, owned it for a week. They crushed it with my CD case inside of it with about 20 CDs that I had procured in my years of driving. That was a very sad day when I realized that. And they crushed the car. It had no rust on it. It had cool rims. The interior was beautiful, except for the front area, but the back seats were beautiful. You'll see that in a picture here. Such a sad day when I realized they crushed it. Such a sad day. R.I.P. I think I gave that one the name Enigma Volvo. I'm not sure. So that's number 4. Number 5. So right after I sold the Volvo, I was still driving the Ford. I was still driving Betsy. February 4th of 2019 was the beginning of the reckoning of the automobile. February 4th, I officially bought Buddy, car number 5. Buddy was a 2013 Fiat 500 Turbo. He was a manual transmission, the first manual I had ever owned. I bought him on a loan, all of that fancy stuff. Didn't even have to get anyone to co-sign for my loan. I had great credit back then. Now, however, thanks COVID. Buddy was a beautiful Fiat. He was adorable. He was called Azzurro Verde. That was what the color was called by Fiat. It was a mixture of green and blue. And it was so cute. Oh, it was beautiful. I upgraded it, did a bunch of stuff to it, put on a muffler delete, which made it sound crazy. Like, it was so loud and rambunctious. Oh, it sounded a lot like a Fiat 500 Abarth, which is like exactly the same engine and transmission, different suspension, and different engine tuning. So it wasn't as fast, but when I put the tune on it and put the cold air intake and took off the muffler, it was crazy fast. And guess what? Even with all the fast stuff on it, I still got 34 miles to the gallon without really trying that hard. It was amazing. I can't speak towards the long-term reliability of that car, but in the 3-ish months that I owned it, I drove 10,000 miles and did not have a single problem, other than there was a creak in the front suspension and the windows rattled, the driver's side window rattled, but that was really it. Is that number 5? Did I say number 5? Next is number 6. Now, I had been working a full-time job while going to school full-time so that I could afford Buddy. The payments weren't crazy amount, but I wanted to put down a down payment and do all this fancy stuff. So I decided, I don't really want this tiny car anymore. It's not very comfortable, and it's like I was just being stupid and just decided I want something new because it'll make me happy. Even though I had already done that with the Fiat and it didn't really make me happy. So yeah, there's the moral of the story, kids. So I went to a Toyota dealership in my area and test drove a Mazda 5 minivan, 6-seater, 5-speed manual transmission, only manual transmission minivan made in the 2010s, sold in the US. Lovely. Had the same engine as my second Fusion, actually. Betsy, that is. And it was great. It was amazing. And I was super excited about it. And then the financing didn't work out for some reason. And this is the typical bait and switch that car dealerships like to do. And they brought me back and they're like, well, something isn't working out here, but if you go for a more expensive car, then it will. And I was like, that's a little fishy. And then they were like, oh, you want a manual transmission car? We've got the car for you. They bring me out to this beautiful silver Hyundai Veloster Turbo, 2016, had 50,000 miles on it, and 6-speed manual. Now, if you have ever driven stick, you know that there are some cars that are easier to drive than others. And when I got into the Hyundai, it was fast, quiet, and the shifting, like going from first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, smooth, elegant shifts. It, like, the clutch was easy, very smooth, and it was just lovely. It was so fast too. Also, this is what I'm putting on my nails. Got it. Traded in the Fiat with 70,000 miles on it. 75,000 miles on it, to be exact, for the 2016 Hyundai Veloster Turbo. This one's name my best friend came up with, Choney Maestro. I don't really know what it means, but go along with it. So I went from little tiny hatchback to a 3-door. So it had 3 physical doors on it, and then it had the rear hatch, which was the weirdest thing. So the driver's side door was longer than the passenger side door. It had 1 big door on the driver's side and then 2 smaller doors on the passenger side. It was such a weird concept, and the back end of it looked really cool. It looked almost like a Prius because the hatch sloped down and it had glass on top and then a little tiny window underneath. So fast. I actually drove that one. I took it on like a 7,000, 8,000 mile road trip from New Hampshire to Los Angeles, California, and had an amazing time. Might have gone 150 miles an hour in it, on the Bonneville Salt Flats, of course. Terrifying. that was the moment when I decided, I don't really care about going fast anymore. This is boring to me now. Got it. Here's my review for that car. Do you live somewhere with potholes? Do you live somewhere with dirt roads? Don't buy this car. There you go. That's it. If you live somewhere with pretty smooth roads and good infrastructure and don't drive on a dirt road on a regular basis, then go for it. When I took it to Los Angeles, it was so much fun. Oh, Choney was made for canyon roads and fun roads like that. Not so great for the New Hampshire potholes and dirt road. It wasn't great. Gonna be honest here. I owned that car from June until February of last year. So February of 2020, owned that from June of 2019 till February of 2020. And I drove that thing around 15,000 miles, I think. I actually totaled that. It wasn't my fault. It was an icy evening. It was actually like 1 or 2 in the morning. I was driving 25 miles an hour on my road. It was a dirt road, so there's a good sheet of ice across it. And the back end just started going like this. Back end just, a little bit of that. And the front end decided, ooh, I want to do that too. But that didn't work out, and I hit into a snowbank and a tree going 25 miles an hour, and the tree hit into the front bumper, went past the actual metal structure inside of the bumper, and hit into the passenger side wheel, destroying the suspension. R.I.P. Choney Maestro. Comfortable seats, leather seats, heated, like push button start. This little button, you'd go, and then it would go, dun 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 dun. That's, yeah, it had a song that would play at the startup. It was magical. In September of 2019, 2 or 3 months after I bought Choney, I was like, I'm bored again. Oh, I want a new car. I was very set on buying a Jeep, and I bought another Volvo station wagon. Now, this one was named Barry. I never really called him Barry, but his name was Barry. 1994 Volvo 850 station wagon. Naturally aspirated front-wheel drive 2.4-liter inline 5-cylinder engine, 20 valves. Automatic. Was not fast, was not economical. It was pretty luxurious though. Paid $900 for it. 260,000 miles on it. And all I had to do to it was change both the front axles and do a little bit of suspension work to it. And it passed inspection. It's pretty cool. And it was pretty cool being able to do that stuff myself. Right? I loved it. It still had the remote, even though it was 26 years old, 25 years old. Loved it. Loved it. Would buy another Volvo. I drove that thing until I actually got it on the road in like October, and then I drove that from October to November, and then, and this is where it began, the accident. One day I was on break going to Five Guys at work. There's a car here. Here's me in my Volvo. Look at her. Isn't she a beauty? Mm. This is actually an 850, which was the car that I had. It wasn't this color, obviously. Car in this lane, me coming this way. This person was stopped. This person was trying to turn and go like this. And this happened. Ooh, crash. Ooh, crunch. Yeah, beautiful. Love. The airbags went off. I was fine. I was going like 30 miles an hour, which was the speed limit. It was actually a 35 zone. And I fucked up that Prius. As you can see here. And as you can see, the Volvo was a tank. She didn't, Barry, he didn't, nothing was wrong with it. The airbags went off, but it was, almost as if nothing had happened, which was very impressive. And it was very impressive as well because, wow, it was very safe. My hand was hurt a little bit in the accident, but, it wasn't a big deal at all. I was perfectly fine. And that totaled the Volvo. But because the other people didn't have insurance, I was just like, listen, I paid $900 for it. If you give me $900, that'll be it. I won't pursue you in court. I won't do anything. And I signed it. I signed that and said that. And everything worked out. So I essentially was driving a free Volvo 850. It was great. It was lovely. I also bought snow tires for it and put those on it. And it was indestructible through the snow. It had this winter mode. You could press this selector and change the mode so that the transmission would shift differently in the winter. And I drove through 1.5 feet of snow and didn't get stuck. I also did have snow tires that were studded, but fucking, I love a Volvo. It also had a cassette player in it and didn't have a CD player or anything. And so because of that, I bought my first Alanis Morissette cassette tape. So yeah, that was, I still have it, and I actually play it when I take a shower because, sometimes you just don't want to have to deal with the stupidity of a cell phone. Just put a cassette tape in, Dad. It's lovely. So after I totaled the Hyundai, I was in rental cars for a month because I had set up my insurance so that if I were to get in an accident and total my car, I would have free rentals for a month. And that was a lovely time. I drove so many brand new cars. Also, to be fair, I did work at a rental car place and had the ability, because I knew everyone who worked there, I could just be like, hey, can I switch out my car? And they'd be like, yeah. And I was like, oh, damn, got it. Amazing. Ugh, let me tell you. Rental cars, pretty fun. But once I ran out of those rental car days, I went back to driving the Volvo. I didn't drive it for a little while because it had been totaled and all of that stuff, and I had gotten a new job, and there was a lot of complicated stuff happening with that, so I just, let the Volvo sit. And then, this was before COVID hit. I just needed a car, and I was like, well, the Volvo still runs. After it sitting for a month, not being started in the winter, I got back into that car and it started first try. Volvo really knew what they were doing in the 1990s. Let me tell you something, Deb. Wow. Oh, I love a Volvo. Hi, people. Editing Henry here. Sorry to cut this video short, but we're already at the 25-minute mark, and this is gonna go on for a lot longer, so I figure instead of making it a 45-minute video of my automotive history, why not just split it in half? You know, make things a little bit better for the viewer. Some of you may have even preferred this to be cut in quarters because there's a lot of history here, so sorry I'm not very quick and concise. Thank you so much for watching. The second half of this video will be up next week. Please, if you enjoyed this, share it with someone. Like it if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, or if you want to see the second half of this video, Deb. Also, let me know what you think of the editing style in the comments below, and let me know, do you just want the full 45-minute shit show? Do you just want the full thing, or do you want it split up? Because I'm kind of conflicted on what to do here. Let me know. I did this video last week. This nail polish is awful. Just to review, this shit is so goddamn sheer. Like, honey, like, this is 4 coats. I have jabbed my fingers into a lot of things this week, and that's why my nail, it's all like crunch like that. But like, really, I think if I were to do it again, I would probably do some sort of a blue undercoat and then do this on top. That might make it better. Back to it. Good night. Have a wonderful evening.